Welcome back to Drinking It In. I'm your host, Chris Casara, and today we're talking about the Wine Enthusiast Top 100 list. I don't tend to use this list as much as the Top 100 list from the Wine Spectator, but in 2025, I like what they did with the list. While the Wine Spectator migrated towards considering more value wines and wines priced under $200, the Wine Enthusiast went upmarket and made their list a bit more upscale, a little more aspirational than it usually is. I like this convergence of sorts. Normally, I look at the Wine Enthusiast as more of a magazine that does anyone buy magazines anymore? But I look at the Wine Enthusiast as a magazine, more of a media outlet for wine consumers, as opposed to one that focuses on folks who may have a wine collection and are looking for more fine wine. That's not to say that they don't cover some expensive stuff. They cover a lot of expensive stuff. But I feel like it's geared more towards the basics. They also cover the world of spirits pretty broadly as well. Now, when you go to their website, it seems like it's all about product sales. Other than links that you may see for ratings and a subscribe button, you wouldn't even know that they were a publication. It's almost just like, hey, we are a wine, we're a wine supply shop. Get your glasses here. Do any of you subscribe to the magazine or the platform? I'm really curious. I personally don't. But let's dig into some of the wines from the top 100 list that I find interesting and may seek out in 2026, whether it's for immediate drinking or to put some in the cellar. I'm doing a follow-up where we'll be reviewing their top 100 age-worthy wines, so that'll be fun. Number 89 on the list, 2023 Architect Cabernet Sauvignon from Alexander Valley in Sonoma, 91 points, $34. I enjoy the Alexander Valley style of Cabernets, and you can often get really nice wines at a relatively good value. It's kind of akin to some of the red wines or the Cabernet Sauvignons from Paso Robles. This wine is red fruited in nature, cherries, raspberries with some chocolate aromas on the nose. Perfect, right? A lighter style Cabernet. The palate is supple with silky tannins and zippy acidity. So it sounds similar. This particular wine sounds similar to the Allegretto Cabernet Sauvignon I tasted from Paso Robles. Had that red fruit profile, more acidity than you may be used to in a Cabernet Sauvignon, but a really, really good drinking experience. Number 78 on the list, 2022 Lion Tamer Red Blend. 92 points, $50. Now, red blend for $50 from California, it's a little steep. If you followed me for a while, you know I think that a lot of the California red blends are ordinary and really not worth your hard-earned cash. Don't fork over your hard-earned cash for some of the red blends that are on the market. Now, I'm hoping this one does not fit that bill, or doesn't fit that mold, right? It better not at $50 a bottle. What I find super unique about this is that Malbec. This is a Malbec-dominated blend. Malbec is 60% of the blend, with Zinfandel and Petit Syrah making up the balance, both checking in, or the majority of the balance, both checking in at 15% of the blend. Black cherry, blueberry, boysenberry, which is a tough thing for me to discern in a wine, but that's what the note says. Notes of milk chocolate. Baking spices follow towards the end. This sounds like a winner. Definitely something that I am considering. Number 60 on the list, 2021 Domaine Montbessay en Bessay Juliana from Beaujolais. This is 94 points and $60. A little pricey for Grand Cru Beaujolais, but I am not familiar with this producer. And even though the price is up there for the region, this winery is getting a lot of attention. And I'm guessing the hype is makes it this bottle worth the risk of the higher price. Beaujolais, so it's Grand Cru Beaujolais. It's gonna have black cherry and blackberry flavors. This one also has black olive, layered with hints of baking spice. I've said this earlier about Zinfandel. I keep reiterating that Zinfandel can age, but remember, I'm going to keep reiterating Beaujolais can age, and you can consider this one as a cellar pick and give it 5 to 10 years in the cellar. It will evolve and really evolve really nicely. I've had some Beaujolais that are 20 to 25 years old, and they're stunning. Number 58, 2019, Familia Pasqua, Amarone della Valpolicella from the Veneto in the northern Italy, 94 points, $59. Amarone is made by drying the grapes on straw mats, right? It really concentrates the flavor, and it yields powerful wines. Now they're sort of out of fashion. They've been out of fashion for a little while. They're sort of they're still out of fashion. If you like Amarone, you like Amarone, and this one seems like it's a really good one to try. So Jeff Porter says that immediately this wine is one to contemplate. Aromas of Mexican cocoa, dusted over roasted plums, some mulling spices, sweet tobacco, and earthy notes of a freshly racked lawn with a leaf pile as high as one's head. Jeff Porter. I need to aspire to get better at my tasting notes and get closer to what I just read you, because that is something that really takes you into an experience. It's an unctuous wine with cherry pie flavors and a hint of smoke at the end. Like I said, Amarone wines are intense, and good ones are usually priced a bit higher than this one. So this is a good option to start with. Number 52, the 2019 Ravines Sparkling Riesling, 93 points, $39. I didn't know Ravines made a sparkling wine. I'm always recommending their wines on this channel. This one is a sparkling Riesling. That's fun. I'm sure this is tougher to find because it's done in smaller quantities. Honeyed orchard fruits, lemon thyme, and hibiscus flower. Come on. You know I love all their wines, so this is just another one to add to the wish list if you see it. Number 45, the 2023 Osmote Beachy Deschaunac, 92 points, $18. So now reading the label, I had no idea what this wine could be. It turns out that this wine is made from the Deschaunac French hybrid grape. The beachy, right, is a term that indicates that this wine is the richest version of the wines that the winery produce. So it really sounded. I'm always looking to expand my palate, my experience with grapes. So this one sounded like a lot of fun. The tasting note included cran blueberry fruit. Never seen that term before. Purple flowers and fistfuls of peppery spice. So it really sounds like a fun experience. Give it a try, because I like trying things I've never tried before. I don't know how well distributed this wine may be, but we're gonna try to find it. Number 44, Red Tail Ridge, non-vintage reserve, perpetual change, Cuvée number 5, Riesling. 94 points, $33. Try to say the name of that wine 3 times fast. It's just not possible. Much like Ravines, I didn't know Red Tail Ridge made a sparkling wine. I didn't know they made a sparkling Riesling. This one might be another one. This again might be another one that's kind of tough to find. But given that these are out there, I really want to try to find them and experience these wines. Toasty, yeasty goodness on the nose, subtle citrus, stone fruit, and floral characters on the palate. Number 32, GD Vira Barolo Alba, 94 points, $42. I still don't understand how they produce this wine year after year at this price in quantity. It's easy to find in a wine store or even on a wine list, and it's one of the best, if not the best value in Barolo. I've mentioned it a few different times. 2021 is a vintage to target. This wine in particular, wild cherries, crushed raspberries, bay leaf, and fresh mint. So if you find this one on sale, if you happen to see it for under $40, right, this is a wine to pick up by the case and enjoy bit by bit over the next 20 years. Last but not least, certainly not least, because it's the highest on the list, right? Or at least highest on the list that I'm talking about today. Number 12, 2022 Inama Foscarina Suave Classico. 97 points, $33. Wowza, 97 points for a Soave wine. So Soave wines are made from the Garganega grape and are really great winter white wines to drink. Soave Classico is a sub-region within Soave. I'll put up a map, but it's similar to the idea of Chianti being the big region and Chianti Classico sort of being a bullseye within that. The Soave Classico is a more focused region within the bigger Soave region. Same relationship. This wine has quince, roasted Fuji apples, and an entire meadow of flowers. An entire meadow. White peach, mint, honey flow into a sea of crushed shells, giving it a salty, savory finish that lingers. I think that was a great way to end this video. Let me know if you pay attention to this list. Let me know if you're gonna follow me and try some of these wines that I listed out, and most importantly, subscribe and have a happy holiday season.